Hello, this is Marshall Zhukov, and here we are together again on YouTube. Another M91 taking a look at. It's got a couple of early features on it, however, not all of the early features that early dated M91 collectors like myself would like to seek. But it's hard because they're so hard to find, and when you do, if and or you do find them, and especially at an auction setting, it's certainly not going to be a cheap endeavor. Anyways, we'll take a quick look at this one as well. The early style barrel bands, which would be correct for this 1893 year produced M91 on the rear and the front. The sling hanger here, the swivel on the magazine well would also be correct, and if it was actually still in its original configuration when it was produced, it would have the flat style rear sight. The base would be shorter than this. It would still have the same style design for the graduations, but it would just be a little bit shorter and flat, and the rear sight would also not be curved. It would also be flat, in addition to the sling hanger that would be hanging off of the front barrel band. The stock does exhibit one earlier style feature. We'll get to that here in just a second. We can see what looks like shellac in the finger groove. Not really so much on the forend of the rifle, opposed to so much here at the butt. It's been hypothesized that this could be remnants of an Austrian type finish that could have been applied during World War I. Quite possible when we get more into this 1893 Tula M91. The stock has quite a bit of character. I like the amount of character that the stock does exhibit. It's got that been there, done that kind of look. And we can see the same type of finish here on the other side of the buttstock. The other interesting piece about this, as we move on, we can see here, it used to at one time have the wooden style recoil bolt or recoil lug that has been replaced with, well, I guess not replaced, but has been retrofitted with a steel one. So that's kind of neat. Not often do you see the wood plug in there. I may have a 9138 that was in a modified M91 stock that has a wooden plug, but that's common to see on 9138s as well, but that's a totally different video. What we will check out on this one is where this one has been. We can see, I thought it was an 1893, it's an 1894 dated Tula Imperial Weapons Factory or Arsenal. The Finns got a hold of it, so they were the last ones that got a hold of it. I guess we could go in reverse order. It's been marked 3 times, which is interesting, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it's uncommon. There's numerous property marks that can be seen, so it's not unheard of. They also notched the rear sight here in that first graduation, which is pretty normal. What we can also see on here is a small Berndorfer bear and this oval JSE mark. I believe that is the Joseph Springer Urban. They are both Austrian depot marks, so it's really hard to say if the receiver and barrel were original to each other, since the Russians never put serial numbers on the receivers. It does exhibit early features of an early style receiver. And then the other interesting thing is, over here on the right side of the barrel shank near the stock line is a crown over M. It's kind of hard to see. The lighting isn't that great, but you can make the M out. It almost looks like a W from here, but it is an M. And I think there's still some discussion on the forums and stuff of exactly what that is. It's probably not Montenegrin. Montenegro usually marked the crowns over here on the left side near the stock line. So it's probably a Serbian type of mark of some kind, but it's just hypothesizing because nothing is known yet for sure about that. If there was a Serbian crown on it or the Serbian Cyrillic S, then that would be another thing, but it's hard to say. But just where this rifle has been with the Russians, and it got sent probably to a Balkan state somehow, and it could have been captured by the Germans during World War I, or the Germans could have captured it from the Russians during World War I, or the Austrians, went through the Austrian depots, possibly, and then ended up in a Balkan country's hands that marked it. And then ultimately we know that some of the Balkan countries, and especially the German Austrian captured rifles of World War I, were sold to the Finns in the 20s and 30s, so the Finns could standardize their army with the Russian Mosin Nagant models and their own that they would make. So quite an interesting history on this rifle. Just the marks on it, you can tell where it's been, is very interesting. Very interesting. And that's one of the reasons that I enjoy it so much. You just don't know. So I will try to incorporate some pictures of the receiver that I have on file in with the video and try to get a look at what the receiver looks like. So for now, Marshall Zhukov signing out on the Finn property marked, Austrian property marked, and possible Serbian or otherwise Balkan marked M91.